Our next guest is the CEO of one of the most exciting and fastest growing companies in the social media platform. In fact, it's probably one of the fastest growing companies and most dynamic companies, full stop. Twitter is a bona fide phenomenon with an estimated 200 million users, generating 190 million tweets a day. And I hope some of you are tweeting now, #FortuneTech. Dick Costolo is CEO of Twitter since October 2010, and before that, he was the Chief Operating Officer. Please welcome my colleague Adam Lashinsky and Twitter CEO Dick Costolo.
Thank you, Stephanie.
It's a little springy little step.
I know you gotta
Bouncy.
Well, we're enthusiastic here. Dick, thanks for being here.
Sure.
Welcome back to Aspen. You were here last year. Biz Stone was with us the year before that. I feel like we have a small elephant in the room and we should get it out of the way right now. If we could just put something up on the screen, please, that I asked for. That's not so interesting. There it is. There it is. Trouble at Twitter, our recent cover story. I thought that would be a bit of a laugh line, but I guess it really wasn't for this. Okay, thank you. Is there trouble at Twitter? Is there turmoil in the management ranks? Is there difficulty growing? Are you having trouble making money? These were the central points of this story.
I'll answer those 6 in reverse order or some order. We're growing faster than we've ever grown before. You heard some of the statistics just now when we were introduced. They're actually already higher. When I was on stage at D9 last month, I said that it took 3 years for the first billion tweets to be sent. And now 1 billion tweets are sent every 7 days. It's now 1 billion tweets are sent every 5 days, and it's growing ever faster. Last month, according to third-party Google Analytics, 400 million uniques just to the website. Just to twitter.com, 400 million uniques. Mobile use is growing 160% year over year. So 40% quarter on quarter growth in the mobile use of Twitter.
And I think Stephanie had a user statistic, but I didn't catch it. Was it how many?
She said over 200 million registered users. When we talk about users, we talk about them in terms of unique visits to the site, in terms that are measured by third parties, and registered users, because people will use the term active users, but an active Twitter user can be someone who comes to the site, doesn't log in, reads the tweets that way, uses Twitter search, sees tweets in syndication. Obviously, we have a significantly syndicated model. So, along any axis you measure us, we're growing faster than we've ever grown.
Okay, and I want to have a whole conversation about the business, so we'll hold off on that for a moment. You were named CEO in the fall.
Yes, yep, late fall.
And subsequently, I would argue rather artfully, both of the co-founders two of the 3 co-founders have left the company. Can you give us a little color on that? Why did they leave the company?
Yeah, so Ev and Biz have gone
This
back.
Evan Williams and Biz Stone.
Yes, I'm sorry. Evan Williams and Biz Stone have gone back to start Obvious Corp, which was the incubator that launched Twitter. And Jack Dorsey, who's the inventor of the product and the third founder, has come back to run product strategy. When Ev stepped down as CEO, he just decided that he was more interested in a day-to-day role that was doing something else. He spent the 4th quarter thinking about what he wanted to do next, and at the beginning of the year decided he was going to go do something else.
And Biz?
Yeah, and Biz has rejoined him in the last month, and they've relaunched Obvious.
I mean, you understand where Twitter's one of these companies that's the objects of fascination, I think for good reasons, for reasons that Twitter should be proud of, but that puts you under the microscope. So in the media and the people who pay attention to Twitter, we put a lot of energy into the story of Biz and Dev, right? And,
yes.
Biz and Ev, excuse me.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the story of Biz and Ev is that Biz and Ev aren't anymore. He just decided he no longer wanted to do this thing we spent the previous 2 years saying he wanted so dearly to do.
Yeah, so let me address that for a minute. In late 2009, we started putting together a senior management team at Twitter. I joined the company, and the media has focused on the founders coming and going. But what's been going on really inside the company is we've been building out this senior management team. Our CFO, Ali Rogani, was the CFO at Pixar for 5 years, working with Steve and the great management team at Pixar and Lasseter and Ed Catmull there. Our VP engineering, Mike Abbott, was running engineering at Palm and built the WebOS before coming here. Jack Dorsey's director of product development, Satya Patel, was at Google working for Susan Wojcicki, and the great operating executive David Rosenblatt at DoubleClick before that. So while people like to focus on...
One of your board members.
That's correct, one of our board members, David. While people like to focus on the comings and goings of the founders, and they've always said that they would do what was appropriate at the appropriate stage for the company, and they've continued to do that. What's been really going on inside the company is we've been building out the senior management team, and that team's been working together now for months.
And is your team complete?
We still have probably a couple roles we need to hire for. We need a couple more senior engineering leaders. We're hiring engineers as fast as we can. We need a couple more senior engineering managers, and we're constantly looking for those folks. We are going to be bringing in a senior marketing executive. One of the interesting things about Twitter is it's one of the most powerful brands in the world already in its short life. The bird is recognized, around the world, but we don't really have anyone internally curating that brand or thinking about how to curate, and we need to bring in that person in.
And what's the background of that marketing person you're going to bring in? Are you far along on that, or are you just...
Far along on that, and the background is someone who really understands thinking about brands in concrete terms, right? What are the sorts of concrete ways of describing this brand that you can use when you talk about it?
Can you go ahead and tell us who that person's going to be?
I cannot tell you who that person's going to be.
Okay.
A very strict don't break any news on stage rule.
Oh, really? I don't like that rule at all. But your discipline is admirable. We've still got 16 minutes and 7 seconds.
You might break me, you never know.
So, okay, so we'll your point is there in fact is no management turmoil at Twitter, is on the contrary.
Yeah, the contrary. Like I said, we've been working together. The team's been working together for months now. We work really well together. Jack and I specifically work very well together. One of the things I like to say about him is he speaks with the fluency of the inventor of the product. And what I mean by that is, at any given point in a discussion about the product, you'll have engineering and design and product management, usually engineering and design, in some perhaps contentious discussion about the direction in which you want to take something. And it's helpful to have the inventor of the product in the room who can clarify that discussion, focus everybody on one solution, and then that ends the discussion. We were able to see earlier the great demonstration of the product, by the way. People are tweeting here at the conference, and the stream is flowing across. So I just invite people, if you have any ideas about who the top marketing person at Twitter should be, feel free to tweet that, and we'll watch that flow across the screen. Okay, the business. Yes.
I think there's no debate to be had about whether or not Twitter has tremendous engagement. All these millions of people you talked about. It's a wonderful broadcast mechanism. You can be voyeuristic. You can send your messages out into the ether. The question that I think is still not understood or not definitive is this a business? So could you explain to us how it is?
Sure. So the business is doing fantastically well. I mean, you just had the CEO of one of the most magnificent brand companies in the world on stage talking about the success of the Old Spice campaign. That Twitter was central to that campaign.
So approximately what did P&G pay you for that?
So, we don't have to go into the details of what they spent on a per campaign basis, but I'll use that as an example to highlight how the business is doing.
But I don't just mean to be joking around. I know you're not. I'm not going to get a campaign figure out of you. But describe qualitatively what P&G paid. It pays for something like that.
Yeah.
Who do they pay? Who else gets a cut?
Yeah. Who else gets a cut?
Yeah. I mean, I assume they use an ad agency. That's the.
I don't know how those particular pieces of it works on who gets a cut, but I'll describe how the platform works and why it's working well. So the beauty of the Twitter advertising platform is the ads are just tweets, right? And instead of just going organically to your followers, they go to your followers and then whoever else you want to target them to. You can target search terms. You can target trends on the homepage. You can say, I want to target people who are interested in these kinds of things to follow my account. So we have lots of different ad products, and those ad products go everywhere the tweets go. So promoted tweets go everywhere tweets go. Promoted accounts go everywhere we show people what kinds of accounts they can follow. Promoted trends go everywhere we show trends. So the ad system is organic to the platform and goes everywhere the content goes. I think the fascinating thing about the ad platform philosophically is that when you think about the future of Twitter, where tweets are being distributed frictionlessly to browsers, desktops, smartphones, feature phones, television, etc. When you've got ads that can go globally everywhere those tweets go, it creates this opportunity for advertisers to do the kinds of things that these two folks from P&G were just talking about. One, real-time marketing campaigns. We already see that from studios on Twitter. The week before the film comes out, they're promoting trailers on Twitter. The moment the movie comes out or the moment after the movie comes out, they start to show some of the quotes that people have been tweeting about from the movie. So this ability to edit and manage a campaign in real time as it happens and distribute that globally has never existed before. So I think that's fascinating.
And is there also an AdWords-like component that I can
Yes.
just put my credit card in and do it?
It's not self-serve yet, but yes. The thing I thought you were going to go for on the AdWords component is we charge people on a cost per engagement basis. So you only, like AdWords, you only pay when people engage with the tweet. And the important point to note there is our engagement rates are through the roof. We are seeing ads literally with click-through rates and engagement rates of 30, 40, 50%. I think the highest one of all time was Volkswagen ran a promoted tweet for their new VW Beetle that actually had an engagement rate where an engagement is a click, a reply, or a retweet of 52%. So you were in the minority if you saw the ad and you didn't engage with it, right?
And
so
how does that compare with Google AdWords? You were at Google, so you have.
It compares favorably with AdWords.
Like
It compares orders.
I've never
magnitude.
bought one. What's the?
Depends on what kind of thing you're buying in search, but it compares very, very favorably with search.
So all your sales right now are direct sales, is that right?
That's correct. It's all direct sales. I would say that we actually divide our sales team into a direct sales force that calls on the top 250 brands in the world, and then an inside sales force that calls on sort of the trunk. We'll roll out self-serve later on.
And analogize, if you would, where you are in your development of that.
Yeah, sure. So a number of advertisers on the platform is up 600% this year. Was low hundreds at the end of last year and is up 600%. Advertisers.
Sorry, you said low hundreds of numbers of advertisers at the end of 2000.
Yeah, that's right, 2010. It's up 600% this year. The number of advertisers that renew campaigns is 80%. So along any axis you want to measure the financial health of the platform and the company, it's fantastic. It's going according to plan. We've got a very specific and methodical way we're thinking about rolling out promoted tweets broader and broader and broader, and we're only going to do that as we ensure that the user experience is good when we do that.
What's an average annual spend of those users?
What's an average annual spend of the advertisers?
Yeah, like the top 200.
So, I think it will increase dramatically year to year.
Well, I'm sure you will, but
yeah. It's growing. It's growing dramatically. I'm not going to go into financial details.
Small
of what
number
they spend
now?
with us. It's a significant and growing number.
Okay. But Google, what big brands do on Google is small compared to what they do on television. And would I be correct in assuming that what big brands do on Twitter is small in relation to what they do on Google?
So I'll try to give you a helpful answer.
Thank you.
We have multiple kinds of ads you can buy. You can buy the cost per engagement ad in promoted tweets or promoted followers, promoted accounts, where you simply bid whatever you want to bid on. I'll pay this much for a new follower, or I'll pay this much for people to engage with this ad. And then we have a promoted trend, which is sort of a homepage takeover. It's the first trend on the page, which is a flat fee that you pay for global distribution of that trend for the day. And that increases as the number of views to twitter.com increase.
One of the controversies around Twitter right now is this tension between what Twitter wants to do for itself, either buying or building, versus what your ecosystem is going to do for itself. So can you articulate, if you would, what Twitter wants to do and what you're content with others doing for the ecosystem?
So when Jack came back to the company earlier this year, he and I articulated a very clear vision to the company for what we wanted to do. And that is that we want Twitter to be the world in your pocket. Okay? That's the way we describe it to the company. Twitter will be the world in your pocket. And we have several things we need to do to the product to fulfill that dream. and where we need to go. And the way we think about the ecosystem is providing value-added services for our core product. So as we think about the ecosystem, we want them to be able to do things like provide CRM services to folks like P&G, analytics dashboards to folks like P&G. You just heard Bob from P&G say that Twitter is one of the core components of their customer pulse dashboard that they have. Well, there are lots and lots of companies out there in the ecosystem that are building tools to provide companies around the world with these sorts of analytics dashboards, and we need more of them.
And does that mean definitively that you won't?
We will provide probably a core set of analytics, but there are always additional kinds of analytics that companies are going to want. I'll give you just a very simple example. In the film industry, they don't just want analytics around how people are interacting with their tweets. They want sentiment analysis, right? What are people saying about the movie Super 8 that's coming out this weekend? You know, what's the positive and negative? And we're not going to do that kind of stuff. And on a vertical by vertical basis, there are all sorts of value-added services that these verticals want. The financial services industry wants to know, what kind of spikes people are seeing around particular stocks. That's not anything we're ever going to do. You could go on and on by industry.
I see. And obviously, do you feel that you've adequately communicated to the developer world what you are and are not interested in? Because just to make a point that I don't think gets made typically, if you think about it from an investor's perspective, if I were an investor in Twitter, I'd be glad that you've stepped up and you're doing certain things that help you make money, right?
Yeah.
And give you control.
Yeah, I think we've been very clear with the ecosystem that we are going to provide a Twitter-owned and operated experience on all the major platforms, and that we want to encourage the ecosystem, again, to move up the value chain and provide these value-added services. There are countless services you could imagine describing. Radian 6, which was bought by Salesforce for several $100 million, provides value-added services to folks like FEMA in understanding when there are natural disasters where people are using Twitter to describe what they need in terms of help.
So two things real quickly. How concerned are you about this FTC investigation?
It's something we have to engage in them with, and we'll do that, and we'll provide them with all the information they want.
What's your assessment of Google+?
So Google is a powerful global company, and I fully believe that they will leverage their tremendous reach to pull people into this experience. And they're already doing that. So the way you have to think about that as a company operating in that space is you need to focus on your own goals, right? And I already said, we want Twitter to be the world in your pocket, right? So we have this very clear and concise way of describing what we want Twitter to be. And we view ourselves as focusing on offering simplicity in a world of complexity. Now, having said that, you have to pay attention to the competitive landscape and understand what's going on, and not just what's going on, but how your competitors are doing things and why they're doing things. But if you just look in the side view mirror at what a particular company is doing, and then you start to say, Twitter is going to be the world in your pocket, now with video chat, then you lose your way, right? So we're going to offer simplicity in a world of complexity, focus on our goal while we understand what everyone else is doing.
Questions, please. Let's get the mic right over here, and please identify yourself before you ask your question.
Michael Schneider, Mobile Roadie. Dick, I'm curious if you see advertising as Twitter's core business going forward, and what you think of third-party platforms like Adly that leverage Twitter as their entire business.
Yeah, so I do think of advertising as one of the major revenue components to Twitter going forward. I think one of the only reasons I hedge say one of the major components going forward is because we already see a tremendous amount of commerce taking place on the platform. Just as a couple examples, when the Google I/O conference was taking place, they tweeted the morning of the opening of the conference, hey, 100 tickets left, $550 a piece, use this promotion code, and then I think 11 minutes later tweeted, sold them, thank you, $55,000 with one tweet in 13 minutes. The San Diego Chargers tweeted on a Saturday afternoon, we need to sell 1,000 more tickets so the blackout can be lifted in San Diego tomorrow. And 40 minutes later tweeted, or I think 40 minutes later or so tweeted, sold those. As far as other third parties operating within the platform, what we've specifically said is you may not inject ads into the stream. If you're doing things organically within the stream or around the stream, that's fine. So in the particular case of Adly, they go to Twitter users and say, hey, we'll pay you to tweet about this. That's not inserting an ad into the stream. That's getting someone to say something. I can't worry about that or police that because there are all sorts of tiers of sponsorship that are like that. And so we let those folks do that. And if that's what people want to do, they should feel comfortable doing that. We're not going to disrupt that business.
But to the first part of your answer, was there any revenue associated to Twitter from the Google I/O and San Diego Chargers example you gave?
No, that's why I was saying, I think, as I was saying, when I said advertising will be one of the core ways that Twitter operates and one of the core revenue streams, what I'm saying is there's a commerce opportunity there for us to take advantage of if we want.
But how would you in other words, charge a tariff on?
You could imagine all sorts of, no, I think the way you would think about it is how can we remove friction from the process? Right now you have to go to a third site, enter promotion code, something else. What would you do to remove the friction from that transaction? Classic sort of economics, there's money to be made when you can remove friction from transactions.
Is that product under development?
We are thinking about the kinds of things that we will offer to the market and designing different things and experimenting with different things internally.
I'll take that as a yes. Thank you. Okay, back there.
Miguel Hell from Fortune.
Welcome, Miguel, to Fortune Magazine.
Thank you. As the CEO of a very fast-growing company that's hiring a lot of people, trying to retain a lot of people in a very competitive market, how do you see the secondary markets, the trading and private shares that your employees can engage in? Is it helpful? Is it a distraction? How do you communicate to employees about it? And do you have any specific policies?
It's a distraction. I mean, the simple answer is it's a distraction. I think that we and Zynga and Facebook have had to retroactively put lots of policies in place to sort of constrain that. One of the concerns is because that's sort of a brave new world, you worry about people who might be buying through those second markets, whether they're accredited investors, what they've been told by the person who might be trying to sell them the stock, and who's going to get in trouble at the end of the day if it doesn't all work out with them. So they're definitely a distraction, and I think that going forward, private companies and their investors will do things in advance of forming the company that restrict those transactions.
Dick, two quick questions. Is Twitter profitable now?
We don't talk about our financial health of the company. One of the beauties of being a private company is we don't have to let our competitors know how well we're doing.
And do you anticipate raising more funding before an IPO?
So we absolutely need to continue to invest in our infrastructure. As I said at the beginning, with the growth and the amount of content that's pouring into the platform, we need to invest heavily in the infrastructure that supports that. Whether that's a public financing or more private financing, we will make those decisions based upon all sorts of criteria, including cost of capital and so forth.
So you very well may likely raise more money before an IPO.
We're going to continue to invest heavily in the infrastructure we need to support the business.
Dick, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. It's great to be here.